I think people who produce really good, excellent in-person experiences that are unique are going to have something that's hard to just automate with AI, and it's not even something we would want to automate with AI.
Yes, absolutely. That doesn't change. I guess that will always be the one and only thing for human beings coming together, feeling the energy. That is the one thing that AI and what else can never replace.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Remotely Serious. I'm here with Pelé from the Nomad community. And Pelé, you're in Switzerland. We were figuring out where we are going to do this call, and you said it might be best to move to the co-living space in your area. And when you said that, that sounded really convenient. You kind of just said, "Oh, I'm at home, but I'll move to my co-living space." So I just wanted to start out by asking, where are you, and what is the co-living space that you're in?
So, hi Curtis, thank you very much for welcoming me. I'm in Switzerland, in Bourg Saint-Pierre. That's the last little village before going through the tunnel in winter. In summer, you can also go over the pass to Italy, to Aosta. So, yeah, that's where we have one of our co-livings. In the next village, we have two other ones, and I have my apartment together with my girlfriend just 10 minutes away from the co-living.
That sounds like a great life. I was just going over some of your biography. I think what's really exciting that you just told me about when we were getting ready for this episode is the Nomad Trail. But I want to get to that in a little bit, and first maybe just cover a few things. First was Freelang. That's something that how long ago did you start Freelang? First of all.
That was 17 years ago, 2007, just after high university. So yeah, the Freeling is summer camps for kids. The idea is bringing kids together to learn French, German, and English in small groups. That was always my idea. Kids come for 1 or 2 weeks, learn the language, but more importantly, they learn a lot about their life. I have very often parents telling me like, "Wow, my kid was there for 1 week and came back and is now like 2 years older," because obviously the language learning is one thing, but super important is as well that you come probably for many kids is one of the first time to come to a place where you don't know anyone else and community. You come there and everybody is nice and everybody likes each other and it's very welcoming, and that is just such a super experience for the kids. Yeah, so I have been doing that for 17 years. We have had a lot of kids from Russia, China, and all around the world. Now it's a bit, the Chinese are not back yet, but South Americans we have a lot. We have a lot of Swiss as well. But yeah, it's just a super cool experience to learn for your life, a bit like a Nomad Fest.
Now, when you run something for that long, 17 years, is that something where the product or the experience changes over time? Do you add new technology? Is it different than 15 years ago? Or is it something where, hey, it's a learning camp for kids, it's timeless. The experience is going to be the same now, the same in 2007, maybe the same in 1957. How does technology or sort of the passage of time affect how you run it?
Yes, absolutely. That doesn't change. I guess that will always be the one and only thing for human beings coming together, feeling the energy. That is the one thing that AI and what else can never replace.
I guess that's a big deal in Switzerland, where or Europe in general, where there's lots of kids that are wanting or needing to learn French, German, Italian, English, more languages, and um, uh, is that part of the, let's say, Swiss curriculum? Does a Swiss teenager need to know three languages to graduate from the equivalent of high school?
Uh, it's true. We have this. We in the language industry, we are the country that travels most to language schools. Like it, we still need to learn French or German, depending from which part we are. And many Swiss speak 4, 6 languages. It's our thing, and we're very proud about it and good at it. As we don't go far, and we're already in the next country and have another language or inside the country as well. But yeah, I mean, you have a big culture in the US as well about summer camps now, and that in general in Europe is less a big thing. It's more the language camps or then the association camps. Let's say you're in a football club or you are in a scouts club, and that exists as well. But apart from that, the people come just together like this for a summer camp. We have less culture in Europe than you guys have in the US, and I think it's a pity because it's a very uh, cool thing.
Yeah, there's definitely the pop cultural stereotype of the summer camp on the East Coast or somewhere. I think some parts of United States and Canada have more summer camps than others. In the Northeast, maybe it's a big thing, but it is something that's in the culture. I actually don't know how much. It seems like something from 30 or 40 years ago. I don't know how much Gen Z or Gen Alpha kids do it as much as maybe the Gen X and millennial and kids, and even long before that in the 50s and 60s. But it's definitely something that, I think it was Sam Altman from OpenAI who said that really good in-person experiences are going to be so critical in the world of AI. I don't know what his agenda is in saying that, or if it's just off the cuff, but I think people who produce really good, excellent in-person experiences that are unique are going to have something that's hard to just automate with AI, and it's not even something we would want to automate with AI, like some industries where it's gonna be a steamroller. So maybe that's a good segue for how you got involved in an event that is increasingly seems to be one of the most popular digital nomad events, the Bansko Nomad Fest. How did you get involved with that? And because it seems to be popping up, I hear about it. If I think of like the top three nomad festivals around the world, it's either in the top three, if not the number one first brand that I think of in terms of a marquee digital nomad festival. So excited to hear more about it.
Yeah, I think we are the biggest at the moment, although that means not too much. No, it's still quite small, these movements. But I went the first time to Bansko 222 with my business partner from the co-living, and I was just totally fell in love with it immediately. I really liked it so much. And as am such a big fan of summer camps, and I was always looking for a way to bring adults to summer camps as well, and didn't know what should they do. I mean, they want to learn languages as well, but it needs to be a bit more. And I tried different things before actually, and then I saw this Nomad Fest and I was like, wow, that's exactly the way of kind of doing summer camps for adults. And I talked with Matthias, the founder, and said, like, man, this you need to do all around the world. It's not only fun, it's going to change the world. And Matthias was like, nah, look, I don't feel it at the moment. I have too many other things going on. And I was like thinking, yeah, man, that would be cool to take that over. And then last year we went the second time, and then somehow we brought together some people, and then took it over in November this year.
And how was that sale? I've been through at least I've been through one of those myself, where you sell a company when you were buying a company, or you were buying I don't know if company is the right word, but you were buying the event. Was there lawyers involved, long contracts, long meetings, or did you kind of handshake out on the field and kind of walk into the co-living space and shake hands? Like, what was the experience for that?
It took quite long because we were quite many people. We gathered after the Nomad Fest, as I heard that Matthias wants to sell, and I brought these people together. And then we had a lot of discussions for several weeks, and then we reached out to Matthias, made him an offer. But the bigger part of our group was like, not sure if it's a cool idea to buy it. And I said then, look, I move forward myself and negotiated with Matthias. And as we're both from the same culture, German speaking, we had a deal within half an hour then properly. And I moved forward and brought in other people back. And now at the moment we are around 7. that are co-owners, which makes it much more complicated. So many people, and maybe it's a bit early that we have so many people in. But then on the other hand, it has a big potential as well to be so many people, and we really want to go far as well with the Nomad Fest. Our vision is to have Nomad Fests all around the world. Doesn't always need to be through the Bansko Nomad Fest brand, but yeah, my personal vision is that in the future, every little village should have its own Nomad Fest, and people should gather and connect during 1 week or some days on an authentic level, and not just get drunk for a weekend and have fun, but really connect for a weekend or for some days and learn from each other and show your weaknesses, but try to find solutions together and make a better place of this world. I mean, it's ridiculous. No, we have AI, we have so crazy things that never anyone could have imagined. But then on another hand, we have a warlord in Russia that is, which we're like, come on, this is, how does that come together? No, and it's very sad. But I think it doesn't need too much anymore. That we're
Evolve,
like,
yeah.
and have and look back and like, wow, 30 years we still had a guy like this. It's my hope, but maybe I'm just naive and too much a dreamer, as John Lennon sung in his song.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
summer camps have a long history of bringing cultures together, especially the like international
Oh man.
programs. And Europeans, I think, are really good at this because they're always bringing together, 30 different countries to get things done. Maybe I want to. I like this vision of Nomad Fests all around the world, but maybe before we just jump into that, maybe we can just walk through what is Bansko Nomad Fest, what's kind of the schedule or itinerary like, and what can someone who's attending the festival expect to experience.
As I say, it's more than just a music festival. It's more than just a corporate conference. That's what I think it's so fascinating about it. I mean, when I was young, I went to these music festivals in Switzerland and I liked them. But after sometimes I was like, man, I was now 4 days on a festival. I consumed, and consumed alcohol, party, whatever. And you don't create, you don't, it's just about a hedonistic way of is in experience life. And I think that's the difference. The Nomad Fest is a big creator as well. You create relationships, you create companies, you create skills, you enjoy as well. It's a big mixture and of life, and that makes it so fascinating. Like, yeah, we have different formats. We go on conference, speakers, storytelling nights, uh, talent show, pitching sessions, a campfire, uh, ecstatic dancing. So it's very, very diverse, which makes it so exciting as well.
And can you say how many attended in 20 summer of 2023?
In 23, we had 750 people, and this year we think we should have around 1,000 in the end.
So it's growing year over year. That's coming up. Oh, well, we're definitely going to look at releasing this episode before it happens, but when is it happening in 2024? It's just coming up.
Yeah, and the 23rd of June is the Nomad Fest in Bansko. We plan another, me and two colleagues, we plan another one with the Nomad Trail in Bosnia. The last week of July. Then Milan from Serbia, he does something in Serbia in the beginning of August. We then in Switzerland, now Danny, also one of my colleagues in the Nomad Trail, she does something in Ireland end of August. We do beginning of September in Switzerland again, and then the Albufeira festival is for sure one important fest as well, beginning of October in Portugal, and there are some other ones. Albania does something in mid September as well.
These ones that you mentioned in Serbia, Bosnia, Switzerland, Albufeira, are these all associated with your company or your group that does Bansko Nomad Fest, or some of those unrelated parties that are organizing those, or are those all related to your group?
No, they're not. Milan does it on his own.
Hmm.
In Portugal, it's on its own. But we are all kind of like brothers and sisters. Kind of we support each other, and yeah, I'm pretty sure there will be much more fasts in the future, but as well much more nomads. And I think as well it shouldn't become too big one nomad fest. It loses its beauty. I was in Brazil on the Web Summit 2 months ago with 30,000 people. It's just like what's going on here. I think it's really cool that it can very well decentralize them. I met now in Tallinn these two African guys from Nigeria, and I said, "Look, I would love to do something in Africa, but because I think it's one of the best way to connect people." And I always wanted to work in development, in the development area when I was younger. But the sad thing is, with how we felt development needs to be done, is like going to Africa, putting there five big machines, and then, hey guys, do something out of it. But it doesn't work like this. No, this top-down way of telling others, hey, you need to do it like that way, that doesn't work. We need to go there and connect on the same eyesight, and then people will take their chance. People that like this idea, they will connect. The same in Brazil. I'm very well connected with Brazil because my son is half Brazilian, so I go there several times a year, and there are so many people there that are so clever, but unfortunately they don't find ways in connecting with the modern world, as they're so far away from everything.
Where do you go in Brazil when you visit?
Like Brasilia most of the time, because my ex-wife works there for the government in Brasilia. It's not a
Okay.
super
Yeah.
exciting city, but yeah, it's how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you say that they don't necessarily connect, you just mean that uh, down in Brazil, it's far from the Spanish speaking world, let alone the rest of the world across the ocean. And have you experienced any of the nomad village in Pippa or community in Florianopolis or any places where there's maybe small nomad communities? What's your Do you think that they can bridge the gap across the ocean and across the Amazon rainforest to other communities in the nomad community, or are they simply too far away? On that note, I just want one more note. I have been hearing about Buenos Aires growing in the nomad community,
Hmm. Hmm.
and it is relatively far away from other things. So maybe there's some hope from that story.
We were on the Noma cruise. We came by Noma cruise to Brazil. I mean, I've flown to Brazil around 70 times in my life. I always did 1 month
Yeah.
Switzerland, 2 months Brazil, 2 months Switzerland. So then afterwards we went to Pipa. It's still very small, no, but
Hmm.
for the Europeans, it's super interesting. Brazil. The time zone is perfect. It's cheap. People are very nice. Good food. So I was 1 month ago, I was visiting the tourist board of the Brazilian government in Brasilia, and talked with them also about the Nomad Fest in Brazil. And they are aware that it's a huge, huge opportunity for Brazil, to that the nomads are coming, and the nomads will come more and more. Before, it was a bit a pity. People are a bit scared of Brazil because everybody's saying it's dangerous, but it's not really dangerous. So the obviously the nomads are more savvy, more, they know better how to travel. They can learn the language. They stay longer. So that is for sure working well. The problem is rather the Brazilians, to connect with them now. Brazil is huge, and do we bring nomads to the places where people can connect with them? And there, I think the Nomad Fest can help bring it to areas, and somehow bring in Brazilians, middle class Brazilians, that many of few of them speak English, but some of them learned speaking English very well just through YouTube and through apps. And that is obviously a problem as well, the language, because there would be many talented Brazilian, but then if you don't speak English, you don't know how to find your remote job, you don't know how to connect with the world. And but yeah, the Nomad Fest will inspire people and motivate them to learn as well English, and suddenly people will realize, like, wow, actually it is great to speak English, because that is one reason as well why Brazil doesn't connect with the world. Yeah.
So you mentioned this in passing, but I just want to make sure we jump on it because it is kind of unique. You mentioned the Nomad Cruise. Now, I want to hear about your experience there. So you went on the Nomad Cruise. Is that the one that leaves from the south of Spain or somewhere in the Mediterranean and goes across the Atlantic Ocean and down to the north of Brazil? Is that the trajectory?
We started in Tenerife. Yeah, the Noma cruise from
Okay,
Johannes.
Tenerife.
And
Yeah.
now Richard Branson wants to do it as well, but it's never be going to be as cool as the Noah cruise
Yeah.
because it's yeah, like it's also about the community, and it's actually very similar as the Nomad Fest Bansko, but just on a boat. And I did it for the first time actually, and I loved it. It was amazing. The cool thing as well, we arrived in Brazil, and then some people went there and some there, and we met again in Rio. We were around 100 people then for New Year's Eve. It was my first New Year's Eve in Rio, but with this crowd, it was super cool.
When you look at Nomad Fests or Bansko, you've got this association of comrades in arms around the world doing events in different places. Do you have something in your sights for your next big Nomad Fest outside of Bansko, the next city where you would like to run it? Or how do you feel? Do you want to support other people that are kind of in a decentralized way starting their own projects? Or do you want to launch a second, third, fourth city or village for a next Nomad Fest?
So we have been talking a lot about that, and we tried to find a way how we could create something, a network through Bansko, where we could connect with different fests around the world. We could provide IT tech, all these admin parts. We could help with speakers, like you could then negotiate with speaker and say, like, look, you can go to these 4 or 5 festivals. Same for sponsors. It would be very easy to have a bigger network, but we've realized it's quite complicated, also because of the borders, also because of having always different company structures, which is so far not very easy to handle. That might be in some years easier, but at the moment, if you have one company where these people are involved and the other one, the other country, they are involved, that makes it very complicated. So we have been thinking that up and down, but we haven't found a solution yet. So at the moment, it's rather like we connect with festivals, we create our new festivals in other places, and then see maybe then later how we can kind of connect them also on another level than just on a support level. My next bigger festival will very probably be in Bosnia at the end of July, together with Nomad Trail. We are there in discussion with the government and are just going to sign a contract in the next days. It's going to be obviously a smaller fest with around 150 people end of July. But yeah, we did last year the first Swiss Nomad Fest with 80 people, and that's the very cool thing about the Nomad Fest as well, that it doesn't need it. It's just a little bit another style of a festival. If you have 800 people, it's maybe more professional, more you can go more into specific topics. Whereas a small festival with 80 people is maybe more about friendship, personal development, but then you could make them also a bit more specific. For example, last year at the Swiss Nomad Fest, we had this American that had this philosophical talk, and I was like, "Hey guys, let's make a philosophical Nomad Fest where people just bring different topics, can be religion as well, whatever, and share for 1 week with speakers, with on conference, whatever things around philosophy, you know." But yeah, it hasn't become true yet, but that will be something in the future as well. Do them around different topics and just gather for that. Yeah.
That sounds like a very maybe this is my a stereotype, but that sounds like a very European Nomad Festival, philosophical festival. Everybody gets around, talks about Voltaire, Rousseau, Kant, Schopenhauer, Hegel, all the philosophers, and it's a new philosophical utopia. I think that's a really good um, I think that's a good specific example of a generalizable thing, which is that some of these events can be around certain topics. There are festivals, there's music festivals, but you could get as we can see, crypto festival, NFT festival, AI festival. There's been corporate conferences on a specific niche, and they can get very specific. Trade shows for you know plumbers or things like that. Um, and you can do the same thing with festivals. You can have a specific topic, and I guess it's always just the challenge and the fun is figuring out, should we go wide to have the most amount of people saying this is for me, or should we say a very specific topic like philosophy? Maybe not everyone will come, but the people who do come, they're selecting to say, I really like this, and then you get a maybe a smaller but a even more dedicated group.
Absolutely. I think
Yeah.
it's a new way of bringing people together. I mean, we had fairs, we had conferences for a long time, but it was normally always, yeah, a professional topic, maybe an academical topic. It was always around a topic, and very often very homogenic as well. That's something I
Mhm.
loved about the Nomad Fest as well. When I came for the first time, I was like, man, there is seasoned entrepreneurs with seven-figure businesses. There are hippies. There are idealists. There are people that just come for the yoga sessions, whatever. That I think this makes it very interesting. This diversity, which is often a problem in the world, that we stay too much in our bubble. Of course, it's a bubble in a certain sense, maybe as well. The nomad world still, like the people that come to these different nomad fests, including the nomad cruise, they're like everybody knows each other already, you know. But I think that is going to change over the next 2 3 years. That's going to be the trip we did for the last 2 weeks. It was aimed to really reach out to people that are not nomadic yet, that are not in our bubble. So we did this trip with the Dancing Latitude from Lisbon to Tallinn, where we ended up then at the startup fair, Latitude 59. And in every bigger city, Madrid, Barcelona, Paris, and so on, we had a on conference where we talked about the nomad world, about how to become a digital nomad, um, and then a pitching session for 2 hours. And then the 10 winners, we brought them to Tallinn, and we made then the final there. But yeah, it was quite small this year. We had between 20 and maybe 50 people per place, but we believe that next year we will reach out to much more people, and then also reach out more to other target groups that don't know that too much yet, this community.
And the Bansko Nomad Fest has speakers, right? You're organizing some. There's yoga, there's music, there's things going on, but there is some kind of conference aspect. I'm just trying to picture it. Is it like there's an indoor venue where you look at the map and you say, oh, over in this room there's a talk, or over in that room there's another talk, or is it more outdoors and it's kind of like on a stage? I'm just trying to get the we'll get some links to pictures in the show notes, but just trying to paint a picture of what it's like in the middle of the day if you're kind of going to see someone talk about something.
We have two stages, indoor stages. Every speaker has a half an hour session. There are some panels, and there are some workshops, and that's the morning program. And then in the afternoon, it's more in the park, or people go on excursions. Yeah, and in the evening, it's all around the city. In the evening, we do these community dinners as well, where different communities have their dinners, where people can meet. We, the owners, have community dinners around a topic. So, for example, my community dinner is going to be the next Nomad Fest, and people can talk about what their plans are. Maybe people can gather to create something together. Last year in Switzerland, we also had quite some people that said, "Then hey, let's do something in Italy. Let's do something in this place." As the focus of our Nomad Fest was really like people motivating to do something. In the end, it didn't work out, but I guess that takes now a bit time that people start to do this Nomad Fests in different places. Yeah.
And how do you get to Bansko? You fly into Bulgaria. Where is it?
There is two ways. There is Sofia and Thessaloniki. Thessaloniki is in Greece. And from there, it's, I think, a bit more complicated, but there must be public buses as well. It's around 3.5 hours probably by car, whereas from Sofia, it's 2.5 hours by car. You can take a public bus, you can share a taxi. It's still super reasonable prices. Last year was like 60 euros, this year probably around 80 euros. That is a way. And there is another very cool route through Plovdiv, second biggest city in Bulgaria, where you can take an old train that takes you within like 5 hours from Plovdiv to very close to Banska. I would like to do that once as well, but yeah.
Last thing before we go, I know you've mentioned it a couple times, and you talked about the dancing latitudes, but the Nomad Trail. It's one of the events that you brought up when you listed some of the events that were coming in Bosnia and Serbia and Switzerland, etc. But pitch us on the Nomad Trail just before we go. as something that I think our listeners will want to hear more about if they just caught those words. But we're like, what is that? What's the Nomad Trail?
Cool, yeah. And the very fascinating thing is we created the Nomad Trail idea on the last Nomad Fest in Bansko. We were like 7 people meeting at 11 in the morning. We had met the night before, had some beers, and said like, "Hey, let's talk about that tomorrow." And we met, and within 5 hours, we created a company. We had a website, we had an Instagram, we had a URL, a registered URL, we had. A T-shirt that we printed. So we had and the business idea, and then we even did an unconference. So the idea was really traveling through the world as a nomad, but without airplane. So now our first proper product will take off after Bansko, and will be around 15 to 20 people going from Bansko afterwards 4 nights to Belgrade, and then to Sarajevo, and there we stay in a small mountain town 25 minutes away from Sarajevo for 1 month, doing working, co-working, enjoying ourselves as well, doing excursions, meeting each other. Then in between we do a small nomad fest with around 100 people, a bit more. Then the next trip goes to Budapest. There we stay another 4 nights, and then we come to Switzerland to one of our co-livings in the Swiss German part, up in a beautiful hotel on a terrace. Like you can only go up there by cable car. There are no cars in this village, and you have one of the most amazing views in the whole Alps. And we stay there for 2 weeks, and then we come to our other place in Switzerland where I'm now, where we have then the next Nomad Fest, and people stay here for 2 weeks, participate at the Nomad Fest, and then probably we'll continue from here. We might then go to Portugal from here. That is one idea, that we never stop anymore, that the Nomad Trail continues until the end of our days. And the other idea is that we never want to take planes. Like the idea is we might go sooner or later to Brazil. So either we join the Nomad cruise, or then we just, as a small community, we take our own boat and then go further. So that's a bit the plan and the vision of the Nomad Trail. And yeah, it would be great if some people would join us. Yeah.
Yeah, I really feel, as especially as you've given this last explanation and pitch of the Nomad Trail, I feel like we've had a lot of guests on this podcast. It's about remote work. Sometimes it's about digital nomads. Sometimes there's overlap. Sometimes those words mean different things. But I feel like what you've just described here is true digital nomadism. And a lot of people are saying now, even people that are, they're younger than me, they're 27, and they're saying, well, I've been digital nomading for 3 years or 1 year, and it's been a long road, but it's time to settle down now and find a base. And so even people in their late 20s are thinking that they're getting over the hill and needing to find a base. And so to hear that you are like, you want a nomad, and there's a group of people that are going to embody the spirit of nomadism continuously with no specific end date. We're not trying to end this. We're not trying to find the destination. That's been really interesting and inspiring, I think, for anyone that's listening and always is hearing about people saying, "Where am I going to settle down? Where's my base?" This is good. I hope we can catch up more, and it's good to learn about all these other events too. Like I've been interested in Bansko. I haven't been yet. Hopefully, I don't know. Maybe I'll buy my ticket this weekend and see you in a month. But also to hear about all these other events that are going on is good too. I think I knew about some of them, but not all of them. So I'm going to follow up on all the different things that you mentioned, all the way through to Albufera and more. So thanks again, Pele.
You're very welcome. And thank
Yeah.
you very much for bringing me on this podcast. That's cool.
If you want people to read more about you or any of your events, is there anywhere they can go on the internet to find you or find information about the events that you want to include here now? And then we'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, nomad-fest.com is the website where we have the different Nomad Fests mentioned. And otherwise, just contact me through LinkedIn and send me a line. I'm happy to give you the link that people can connect with me. That's great.
Thanks again, Pele. And this has been a great episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you.